beneath all the fears, no matter what the fear is a fear that I can't handle it. If that woman rejects me, I won't be able to handle it. If I start my business and go broke, I'll look foolish. I won't be able to handle it. I decided on my 40th birthday, if it scared me, I was going to do it. I faced the fear of getting divorced from a woman I shouldn't be married to. I faced my fear of living alone. I faced my fears of learning to date. I faced my fears of building my business. Okay, so I aspire to open to fear as my compass and North Star, pointing me in the direction I need to go in every situation. Right? That's aspiration number 10. As an integrated male, I aspire to open to fear as my compass and North Star, pointing me in the direction I need to go in every situation. Okay, this lesson is going to have 3 key points. I kind of like to do that to make it easy to follow and make it easy to apply to your life. Point number 1, fear is a normal point of life, a normal part of life. Fear number 2, anytime we get out of our comfort zone, we will feel fear. Key point number 3, fear is our North Star pointing us in the direction we should go. Okay, so let's go back to that main point number 1. We all feel fear. As I said in the meditation, is fear has a life-preserving quality to it. That fight, flight, freeze response keeps us alive, and that's primarily fear-based. Now, we're all going to feel fear in dangerous situations, right? If something physically is threatening us, if we're extremely ill, we're going to feel fear, right? That's normal. But especially when we get out of our comfort zone, when we get at our edge, when we take a risk, we are going to feel fear. Now, here's my question. What if we could harness this fear, right? Rather than avoid it, dreading it, what if we could harness it, transforming it into a compass that leads us to our true north, to our direction we need to be going in life, to our purpose, and follow that with passion? What if we could use our fear as a tool to become a more integrated man? What if we could use fear to level up to our best version of ourselves and live our best lives? Now, we don't usually think of fear that way, right? But what if fear is a gift that helps us in all those ways? Now, in the book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, Susan Jeffers identifies 2 types of fear. One is the things that happen to us. Well, I might get hurt. I might get sick. I might lose all my money. I might go broke. I might lose my job. Things that happen to us, right? Those are frightening, right? Somebody I love about might get sick. They might get hurt. The second level of fears are more about our core identity, threats to our identity, perhaps ego fears. That is, well, I might look foolish. I might not be able to handle it. I might be vulnerable. I might get laughed at. I might feel stupid. They're more of our identity fears. And Susan Jeffers says, beneath all the fears, no matter what the fear is, goes back to what I shared in the meditation, the guided imagery, is a fear that I can't handle it. If that woman rejects me, I won't be able to handle it. If I start my business and go broke, I'll look foolish. I won't be able to handle it. If somebody I love breaks up with me, leaves me, cheats on me, I won't be able to handle it. If I get sick, if I get hurt, if somebody I love gets sick or hurt, I won't be able to. Underneath all fear is a core belief that I can't handle it. Now, since fear is normal, our goal is not to eliminate fear or become fearless. Yeah, that'd be all right. But, they actually did studies on mice where they removed their amygdala, the source of fight, flight, freeze. These mice became fearless. And guess what? Their lifespan shortened quickly because they had no fear. They'd walk off the side of tables. They'd walk up to cats and poke them in the nose. I'm exaggerating. They would do things that normally they would have fear about, and they died, right? So we're not trying to overcome or eliminate fear. We're just trying to be able to face it and take action in the face of fear. And we've all done that many times in our life. We really have. We know we can do it. Kind of that proverbial getting up on the high dive and walking out to the end and going, oh, fuck, what made me think this was a good idea? And we go, but I can't turn around and walk back. So what do? We find something inside of us that says, okay, here I go. And we jumped. Right? We've all done that multiple times in our life. Now, it can be helpful to know what scares us. Why? Well, why is it scary to get up on the edge of that high dive? Why is it scary to go talk to a woman we don't know? Why is it scary to launch that business we've been dreaming about? Why is it scary to leave a relationship, to leave a job that doesn't serve us? Well, I think there's probably many underlying fears. I know for me, one of the biggest ones is the unknown. I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what to do. I just never been there. The fear of the unknown keeps a lot of us stuck in many ways. I think a fear of looking foolish, of being embarrassed, of making a mistake keeps a lot of us stuck. I think there's a legitimate fear of pain. I might get hurt. If I jump off this high dive, it might hurt. I think we often have a fear of loss. What if I take this action or don't take this action and lose something that is important to me? Of course, an obvious one is fear of failure. What if I take this action and don't succeed at it? And the fears that surround that. Maybe even a bigger fear than failure, I think, is a fear of success. What if I face my fear, I have success, and that success actually brings things to me that I've never had to deal with before, and I don't know if I can handle them? And maybe what then? Right? What if my level of success does take me to where I do have paparazzi outside my house? Yeah, probably the odds of that are pretty low. But one of my fears of getting big is that I'll lose all control over my time, over how I live my life. Everybody else will take control of my life. So that's a fear of success. And it's a legitimate fear to have. Most of these fears are legitimate. But what if you knew that no matter what happened, you could handle it? What if I got bigger and more visible and I handled all the things that came? What if I learned to recruit people to help me and delegate? And what if I learned how to say no? And what if I learned how to better boundaries? And what if I learned how to make my priorities? What if I learned those things more effectively? I could handle whatever change came to me. What if you remembered you've handled every other fear you've had and you're still alive and ticking? What if you had a tribe of men, maybe just 2 or 3 good buddies that you knew had your back and they'd be there for you? Maybe they face similar fears. I've attended 6 out of 7 tribe calls this week since last Sunday. I was up at 4 a.m. for the Thunder for Down Under call. And I think it was my favorite call. We dove into some deep stuff. And, listening to a lot of men on calls this week, over 6 tribe calls, it just hit me how many men said they've recently gone through a separation or divorce. And it was their first holiday season without their partner, maybe without their kids. A lot of guys were sharing that. Those are fearful times. But what if you knew you had brothers who'd been through a similar thing? They survived it, and they were there to hold you, support you, and help you get through that fear. That'd be valuable, wouldn't it? Yeah. Why do you think I built Integration Nation? We need that band of brothers. We need that tribe because we're all going to be challenged in life. All right. Let me say one little caveat about confusion. Many of you have already heard me talk about this. I even talked about it a couple times this week on tribe calls. I've been a therapist for over 40 years. And whenever a client or somebody I'm coaching or somebody in a group says, I'm confused, I don't understand. I over years of experience, I just call that out. I say, I don't believe in confusion. Now, what usually when people say they're confused, sometimes the message in front of them is so simple. Telling it to them in 2 or 3 different ways or giving them more information just deepens their confusion. It doesn't solve it. So I don't believe in confusion, but I do believe in fear. And I think when most men tell me I'm confused, they're not really confused. It's just that their unconscious is going, holy fuck, I can't go do that. Let's get confused. Right? So, because I found giving people more information does not make that kind of confusion go away. But the good news is I don't know of any answer for that kind of confusion, but I do know of answers for fear. That's the good news. There are answers to fear, and we're laying them out, right here. So when you notice your mind, I'm confused. I don't understand. Give me more details. Give me more. I've had a couple of people send me messages this week. I just don't understand, this thing that you're teaching. And even as I gave the explanations, they come back and go, yeah, but I still don't understand it. Okay. I fell into my own trap. I started giving information for confusion. More information does not help confusion. Now, here's an exception. If there's something you don't know how to do very well, like when I decided to do video courses a couple of years ago, I got some nice cameras and some equipment. I had no fucking clue how to use those cameras, but that was just a lack of knowledge, not confusion. Would have been easy to get. I'm confused. I don't know how to set any of this up. I thought, fuck it. I'm going to get masterful at shooting videos and using these cameras. So I watched a shitload of YouTube videos on how my cameras worked and how to do videos. And I got good at it. Not because I was less confused, but I got information to help fill in the blanks of what I didn't know. So information can be helpful if you don't know something. But if you're just confused, it rarely helps. All right. I want to give you guys a personal example. I just turned 68 a couple weeks ago. Leading up to my 40th birthday, and I was on a call with somebody else in the last week that was talking about the same thing. They're approaching their 40th birthday. I started asking myself, as a lot of guys do when they approach 40, what do I want to be different in the second half of my life? I really didn't know. I actually struggled with it for almost my entire 39th year. And right before my 40th birthday, it just hit me. I didn't want to die afraid. Now, it's not like I didn't want to have fear of death. It's just I didn't want to live the rest of my life fearing everything and then go to the grave in a state of fear. And because I realized first 40 years of my life as a nice guy, I just feared everything and avoided so many things. And I decided on my 40th birthday, if it scared me, I was going to do it. And I was just thinking in the shower this morning before getting ready for this call. In the last 28 years, it seems like it's been 28 years since I decided that. Yeah. I faced the fear of getting divorced from a woman I shouldn't be married to. I faced my fear of living alone. I faced my fears of learning to date. I faced my fears of building my business. I faced the fear of closing a successful business and moving to Mexico. I faced my fears of buying a house and marrying a Mexican woman who didn't speak English in my 60s. I learned Spanish in my 50s and 60s. I've faced death 2 times in the last 6 years. I've published 4 books since that time, and I launched fucking Integration Nation when I was 67 years old. Most guys at 67 years old are either out playing golf or watching a shitload of Fox News, right? I decided to face some big fears. You know what? This shit still scares me. Looking at what Integration Nation is capable of and what it's going to take to grow it to those capabilities scares the ever-living daylights out of me. But it sure excites me and lights a fire under me as well. And I've got a great team assisting me. I've got 7 founding coaches who've been with me for the last 2 years. I'm not trying to do it alone. Right? And we've got close to 30 coaches on this team. And it's going to keep growing and expanding. I got good people surrounding me, so I don't have to do it alone. I still have fear, but I've also got a track record of facing a shitload of fears that have brought me to where I am today. Okay, key point number 3. Fear is your North Star. Another one of my favorite books, a book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Every time I mention The War of Art to people, almost everybody I mention it to goes, oh, I love that book. Love that book. So if you haven't read it, great book. It's a play on the book, The War of Art, of course. But the art of the War of Art, not the art of war, talks about resistance. And Stephen Pressfield talks about resistance being our North Star. So I got to own this. I borrowed from Stephen Pressfield and adapted to where fear is our North Star, is our compass to true north. So it helps you decide which direction to go, what you need to get masterful at, what you need to tackle. So whatever you're afraid of, that's the direction you need to go, right? So let's think about this for a second. I've worked with a lot of men that have a fear of talking to women, right? Whether it's approaching women or responding to an indicator of interest that she sent. And so that they've got this fear of talking to women, fear of looking foolish, getting rejected, not knowing what to say. They're running on that internal tape. I can't handle it. Whatever happens, I can't handle it. But what if we decided to say, you know what? I'm gonna use that fear to point me in the direction I need to go. Right? If it scares me, it's what I need to get masterful at. Right? It's going to teach me mastery. What if you decided to fail forward, fail off, and fail fast? What if you decided to go approach 5 women and in the first 2 sentences say, you know, your name, say, I just had to come talk to you. Give me your phone number. I'm going to call you later this week and take you out. What if you did that with 5 women? You know, if you're in a relationship, what if you did that with 5 things that scare you with your partner, right? And decided you were doing it for no other reason to try and get rejected. Every man I've ever known that went out and did this assignment after the 2nd, 3rd rejection, they were fucking doing a happy dance that they went and tried and usually had good results. Even if they didn't get numbers, the woman was usually engaged with them and they laughed and smiled and you know, he felt, man, I did it. I can do this. So pick a fear and decide that's the direction you're going to go. Okay, so our application. Ask yourself, where are you stuck? What have you been putting off? What do you dream of? I dreamed of going to Mexico for a long time, for 10 years, before I finally pulled the string on that one. What do you avoid? And then use this information as your North Star. Then recruit your posse. Don't go it alone. You got to have a tribe. Take one step in that direction of wherever it's pointing you. Remind yourself you've faced every fear and emerged stronger, smarter, more confident because you did. Remind yourself that no matter what happens, you'll handle it. And then do a happy dance whenever you face a fear and don't die. And some of you, I've taught how to do the Dr. Glover happy dance before. Maybe we'll do that on the Q&A. If somebody asks me, I'll teach you the Dr. Glover happy dance. So do the happy dance when you face a fear and you don't die. And remember, it's progress, not perfection.